So when Bruce asked me if I might want to speak today, he said, hey, Evan, you guys have been around for a while. Perhaps looking back 10 years, you might be able to look forward 10 years, and you can do it in 5 minutes hungover. And so I figured before I move forward, I want to look back at what skiing looked like 10 years ago when we first started. And frankly, if you took a snapshot of the experience itself back then, it doesn't really look much different than it does today. So the equipment was slightly different. Perhaps we weren't yet wearing neon again. But frankly, the experience of skiing and being in the mountains was no different than it is today. What we looked at, however, was that the process of getting to the mountains was actually really high friction. And Tom mentioned this earlier in the presentation this morning. You know, from buying tickets to renting equipment to dealing with traffic to dealing with parking, it's actually really hard to get from waking up in the morning to the experience that we all love so much. In our case, we focused heavily on the ticket itself and how they're bought and sold, focusing on pricing and distribution of this primary point of friction. And so we wrote a business plan. That's my Palm Trio that I actually had in 2005. Trying to focus on helping to reduce friction in the buying process and the pricing process of the ticket that brings people to the ski experience. And a lot has changed since then. You know, the industry's done a lot. We're selling things differently. Our consumers are tracking their experiences differently. They're sharing their experiences differently. And we as an industry are talking about our experiences much differently. But still today, and at this point in time, this really is the norm now. As opposed to people going to the ticket window and buying their tickets there, people are searching for and buying their ski experiences well before they get there. But as I mentioned, there still remains a lot of friction in this process. And I think there's a lot that we can do as an industry to solve for that friction. And so I thought that one way to look forward is to talk about a day of skiing and what it might look like in 2025. Not the ski experience itself, but how the person gets to the ski experience. I'm going to talk about Jordan here. So Jordan is going to wake up. And when he wakes up, he's going to know exactly what his day is going to look like. He's already bought his tickets. He's really well informed as to the experience that he's going to get to. And this means that it's going to be a really low friction process so that he can step directly into the experience. At the same time, the resort is going to be empowered with tremendous information about Jordan's arrival such that they can service him impeccably. When he gets there, he'll step right into the experience. Let's be honest, this isn't the driverless car of the future, but I do think in the very near future, people will be arriving in cars that they're not driving and in some cases don't even have steering wheels. And for what that means for Jordan is on his drive to the resort, he's able to self-cater his experience based off of the information that he has access to. And whether it be changing skis or upgrading to a different experience, he's able to make sure that he steps into the experience very quickly. And at the same time, the resort remains impeccably prepared for Jordan's arrival such that he can very swiftly move into an awesome day. Jordan will also have tremendous access to information that will help him understand what he should spend his time on during that experience that day. And then Jordan's going to arrive. He's going to step into the experience. He's going to go skiing with friends. He's going to go to après. He might see his daughter ski for the first time. And the point that I'm trying to make is that the ski experience in the future is not really going to look much different than the experience today. But if we as an industry can start to solve for the friction that exists between the time the person thinks about going skiing and them actually stepping foot onto the slopes, we'll be able to solve for that friction and get people into the sport more than they are today. So I think in conclusion, we don't know the exact technologies that are going to be used in the next 10 years. But if we as an industry are able to solve for making the sport more inclusive and solve for the friction that exists between wanting to go skiing and going skiing will be able to grow the sport. Thank you.